I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome, everybody, to AfterBuzz TV's coverage of Wrestlemania 36. Of course, we are here covering something that was way too big for just one night. It was history-making, and we're here to continue making history. And that in WrestleMania 30, I'm flustered because I was so excited. 2 nights, we're gonna hear all about it. We got the all-star cast, we got the all-star crew of AfterBuzz TV, and even a returning face that I'm excited to have on the panel. But first, let me introduce to you from Raw and NXT, Flobo Boyce.
What's going on, everyone? WrestleMania was an event and a half. I'm going to tell you one thing. Whether you thought about it or you didn't think about it, this will be the most unique WrestleMania of all time.
Crossing the line to WWE, you got AEW's own Jack Farmer.
You guys, the stars were out tonight as WrestleMania was not 1, but 2 nights. And it wasn't only just amazing, it was absolutely spectacular in every way imaginable. I loved it.
From Raw and Espanol, she does speak English as well. We got Leslie Colon.
Hola, or should I say hello? I'm so excited to be joining you guys. You know, George and I do talk about this in English. I mean, in Spanish, but I'm ready to talk about it in English. What a night to remember.
From NXT and Triple W Women's Wrestling Weekly, Emily May.
Hey everyone, I am so happy to be here to cover WrestleMania. It's the biggest night of the year. I'm so happy to be here with everyone from our AfterBuzz Wrestling crew. And Evan, happy to have you. So exciting, such an incredible 2 nights, and there's so much to cover.
You totally just ruined my intro. I was gonna say, call us Mark Morrison, because we got the return of the Mack. He took a little break from the bump to join us here on AfterBuzz TV. We got Evan Mack.
Yo, man, good to see you guys, man. Oh, man, it's awesome to see you guys, man. It's really surreal, man. It feels like I'm back home. WrestleMania was crazy, man. Under the circumstances, a lot of things that were going on. I think they were able to pull off something special, things they were able to do because of the lack of the crowd. And I thought that kind of played into their hands tonight.
Of course, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, I'm George Hermoza. We got so much to cover. I want to hear everybody from the chat. Thank you, Jonas Tiger, Joseph Bozo, Uncle Murph, External Shockwave. Yes, we got Return of the Mack. Yeah, but as always, we're gonna go night 1. We're gonna go night 1 to night 2. And as always, I always want to talk about the thing that impacted the most for each night. Of course, Twitter's been blowing up, and I'm not gonna lie. I want to know each and every one of your guys' thoughts. But after I finished watching the Boneyard Match, I swear to God, I'm gonna go on Twitter. I'm gonna be like the only one that liked it, but everybody loves it. I want to know, Jack Farmer. I want to know your thoughts, because you were the first person that I saw so passionate and so energetic, so excited about what happened in the Boneyard Match. So tell me what you thought overall of this match.
I am grinning ear to ear, George. That was such a fun match. This was the match I was most excited about. I was wondering what a Boneyard Match was gonna be. And as it was starting and going, you're like, uh-oh, what are we going to get? What's going to happen? And then it kept building and building. And George, I tell you, like I said, I was smiling the whole time. This was so entertaining. I want this to be the next Hell in a Cell or the next Elimination Chamber. They need to get rid of whatever pay-per-view is on whatever month that doesn't have a good pay-per-view and have Boneyard be a yearly occurrence.
7 Boneyard matches forever and ever and ever.
Forever, just a whole series.
8-hour pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Now with that said, if we do see another Boneyard match, who would you like to see the Undertaker face off against?
Aleister Black.
Undertaker Mankind is next. I want to see some legends. You can put legends in here again. It's like we get to pick all the legends. Now that they've proven this whole thing works, we can have anyone back. We can have Sting back. We can have Mankind back. We can have Stone Cold back. We can have everybody back. The world is open. It's like WWE 2K21 came early and to life. WrestleMania is making dreams come true.
Did Jack Farmer turn to Montez Ford? What just happened? He's putting this over hardcore, man.
Now, Leslie, Leslie, we cover Raw every week in Espanol. I know we haven't talked about it too much in the past couple of weeks, because of everything that's happening, but we've been watching Raw every week. We still watch it. We've been seeing, this kind of program with Undertaker, AJ Styles and going on. I know you might be a little opinionated or maybe have different opinions about this match. I want your God to honest truth about what you thought about this match.
Okay. I love the background of it. I love the promos. I love everything leading up to it.
But
Everything. Do you hear me?
But yeah, I can hear it. But
Okay.
it sounds like you're gonna say a but in there.
Yeah,
But
there's a but. It took me a little bit to get into it because I'm more of a. I love to see the technical wrestling part of it, and for me, it was more. I described it like a novela, which is a very dramatic show in Spanish, and that to me was more of like a story than actual wrestling, which is, obviously I prefer that, but I think it was definitely on the entertainment part. There's nothing wrong with it. Just on my personal level, I wanted a little bit more of the wrestling aspect to it because AJ Styles is such a good technical wrestler. I think he could have brought so much, and the Undertaker is obviously a legend. So I wanted to see a little bit more. And then I was just laughing at the end with AJ's hand. I was just like, all right, that's a cute touch. But for me, it was just missing a little bit more of the wrestling part that I wanted to see.
Evan, you're
What's up?
kind of in the mix of everything that's going on. How excited was the people around you for this match?
Yeah, I thought it was exciting. Their excitement was kind of coupled with not knowing what was going on and not knowing what to expect, which is a rarity in the industry. You know what I mean? People usually have their theories and their ideas of what's going to happen, and they've seen it all. And I've seen this before, and yada yada yada. But what happens when you don't see something? You want something you've never seen before. What happens when you don't know what to expect? And AJ is amazing, and he is technical, but this is something that he probably would have never thought he would do in his career. So
Yeah.
I think it was very interesting to see him do something different, man. And it was dramatic and it was cinematic, but I think they came up with an idea based on what was going on in the world the things that we're dealing with. And I think they pulled it off under the circumstances. You know what I mean? I thought they was, because you might not ever get to do this again. You know what I mean?
Flobo, what was your overall takeaway from this match?
So I had the luxury, I guess, of watching it twice. The second time I watched it, I totally got it what it was. It was almost like you watched the WrestleMania, you got this like extra bonus thing on top, this nice story to Leslie's point. But I'm telling you, man, over the weeks of promos, the Angel Breaker versus Styles clash was part of these promos. I wanted moves and holes. And so
Yeah.
I had some friends who were lapsed fans on my phone. I was kind of like, oh man, it'd be great. Honestly, stick with it. I'm sure they'll do it next month. But watching it back today as a standalone event, it was fine. It was totally great. I understand why people online liked it for what it was.
Emily, did you kind of like how personal it got? Now, we don't really see people refer to Undertaker as Mark or anything like that. I know we saw Undertaker kind of call AJ Styles as Alan Jones, his real name. Do you kind of like it when they get a little personal? I know you're are familiar with character work and whatnot, but do you like it when they kind of peel back the curtain a little bit?
I feel like this was the only way they really could have gotten this personal, because you're dealing with so many heavy emotions, not only for the audience watching, but also the Undertaker and AJ. So you have so much writing on this and so much happening, and I feel like it works. I feel like bringing everyone down to the level that they're at in the sense of emotionally and mentally and physically, it just makes you be in the moment even more. And that's why I feel like the Boneyard match was so powerful and so impactful. And it was what we all needed. Everyone in this moment was to kind of escape, to kind of say, hey, we're all in this together. We're all people, but do it in a creative storytelling way. And yes, like to Leslie's point, there was it wasn't as heavy in the technical side of wrestling, but I feel like that was okay for this type of moment and this type of like WrestleMania moment.
Leslie, would you be opposed to seeing another Boneyard match one of these days?
No, definitely not. It was very entertaining. I won't take that away from it. Again, I don't think there was anything wrong with it. Just personally, like Flobo said, there's so many iconic moves that you wanted to see and that were being promoted. So it was just, that was missing for me.
Considering what we've seen in The Undertaker in the past year, his match with Goldberg and kind of questionable in-ring matches, knowing how rightfully acclaimed this match is, should this be the last ride for The Undertaker, Evan?
No.
There you have it, George.
What about everybody else? What about you, Jack?
Yeah, that's all you need.
I had something. No, I'm just saying. That just proves why it shouldn't be the end. You know what I mean? Every time I think, this might be the swan song, then they do something like this. I'm like, man, you go ahead, man. Just wrestle forever, man. I don't care. Just wrestle. Just keep wrestling. I just watched WrestleMania 9, man. I was like, he was in WrestleMania 9.
WrestleMania 9 does sound so long ago. Like, it sounds like when someone makes one of those jokes, like, you're so old, your social security number is 1. It's like, you're so old, you wrestled at WrestleMania 9. You're like, that's not even a real number. Come on.
What's even better is he was at WrestleMania 7.
Man.
What I loved about this kind of creative output that they did for this WrestleMania and this Boneyard match specifically is that they had to think outside the box because we're in just such a weird environment and atmosphere right now, that they had to think in such a creative way above and beyond anything they've ever had to think about, the whole WWE team. And so I have to commend them because they really put their heart and soul into giving us an entertaining moment that we'll remember forever. And we're all talking about it, and the Twitterverse is talking about it. And it shows I think the Undertaker, if he did more stuff like this, he could continue on for a million more WrestleManias.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't understand why people are so quick.
A million. I want more. I would,
quick to want guys like the Undertaker to retire and move on. Like, I love the Undertaker. Give me more Undertaker. Let's find ways to keep this working. He's great. Why are people so quick and so fast that he needs to retire and move on? Undertaker, you're amazing. You keep going. You do a few more of these Boneyard matches, maybe even a Firefly Fun House match. We'll talk about that one later.
Yes.
You do you, Undertaker.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be the last time we're going to talk about the production side of WWE. Personally, I love the match. The only thing I would change about it is a little bit of the editing. There's a couple of the shots that we kind of for example, when Undertaker appeared behind AJ Styles, I was like, oh my God, just in awe, but they just cut to a quick camera angle. I'm like, man, give me the shot. Give me 5 seconds of the shot, a couple shadowy stuff. But overall, I loved it. I know, again, I was surprised to see how over it went with a lot of fans, with a lot of talent. But again, kudos to everybody involved. One of the most creative things that we've ever seen. And I know it's not going to be the last time we're going to see creatively, and not just from the Firefly Funhouse, but just in the future, opens up all these cool things that we're going to see maybe in 2K21. Anybody wants some of this in a Boneyard match in 2K21? Bring it.
Yes.
I'll tell you guys my PSN if you guys got it. But we're going to move on. We're going to move to a long match, not so long match, maybe even the shortest match of the weekend. The Universal Championship. Last minute replacement Braun Strowman against champion Bill Goldberg. Let's be real, there's not really much to say, but were you guys, I'll start off with Emily, were you satisfied with them choosing Braun Strowman as the replacement for Roman Reigns?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a good fit. They have a good it was a pretty good matchup. I really couldn't see anyone else kind of fitting that role right now, kind of at the last minute.
Flobo, what were you overall, what was your prediction going into this match? Did you think that Braun would win, or do you think that Goldberg would retain after WrestleMania?
Look, man, these two guys are fantastic at what they do. But if you think about the win-loss records, Braun Strowman is a guy that never won the big one. In fact, when he won the IC title, I thought he'd have a long reign when it didn't happen. So when it was a quick replacement, I thought it would be a stopover. But you think about it. If you're Braun Strowman, how else you beat Goldberg by just beating him down? And that's what we got in 2 minutes and 12 seconds.
Yeah,
but he beat him down quick.
I respectfully disagree about him not winning the big one. He won the greatest Royal Rumble. That's all.
Yeah, you're right. The legends rise.
Jack, what do you think is next for Braun Strowman? Do you think is it going to be Roman Reigns when maybe he's ready to come back, or do you think it's going to be a Bray Wyatt that's going to want to come back and get his Universal Championship back?
First off, I just want to say that this is another example where I think WWE got it right. We're always so quick to find the things that we want to nitpick and things like that. But a lot of people, they had all these ideas of who could replace Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman was the right guy, because Goldberg is the kind of guy that's just going to run into his opponent over and over and over again until he either wins or gets overpowered. And Braun was the perfect person for that. I think it's hard to predict what's next for Braun. Obviously, we're in kind of unpredictable times right now. I hope he holds on to it for a little bit. My thought would be that he's got something with the Fiend coming up very soon, or at the very least, him and Reigns go at it.
Evan, do you think this was a long time coming for Braun Strowman, or do you think he deserved maybe a shot at or becoming champion about a year ago, or maybe even 2 years ago?
Yeah, well, like a year ago, there was that moment where I thought he was going to get the brass ring or be given the brass ring, and then maybe they got cold feet, and then it didn't work out. You know what I mean? And so I always felt like that moment was a long time coming, long overdue for a person who puts in what he puts in. And like I said, it's all about what do you look like when you have that title? Doesn't he look like it belongs on him?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he got that, when he hoisted that title, you were like, yeah, I buy it.
Yeah,
I buy
you
it.
can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a champ.
Leslie, are you a fan of Braun Strowman at all? I feel like sometimes he's hit or miss.
am. No, I am.
Say if you're not.
No, I am. Really? You're
Damn.
gonna make me look like a
George!
bad guy now?
That's okay. No, I'm just saying, like, hey, I'm not
Arudo.
really a big fan of him, to me personally. I mean, I would have rather seen. I don't even know who else. I mean, I would have rather seen Bray Wyatt not lose the title to begin with. But I mean, so you're saying you're satisfied with maybe?
No,
Braun
yeah,
beating Strowman?
definitely. I think like how Evan said, it was a long time coming. I feel like he could have won the title a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
So once this happened, you bought it. You were like, yeah, he should be a champion. So why not?
He has a pretty good record too. He won the
Yeah, exactly.
tag team championship with Nicholas 2 years ago. He won
Yeah.
the battle.
Legendary.
He won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal last year, and now Universal Championship. So, like I said, I hope good things for Braun. He keeps improving in my eyes in many ways. He can do a lot of things that a lot of people his size cannot do. So, I mean, kudos to him. I'm not really a big fan of Bill Goldberg, to be honest with you. But
Love Goldberg.
Of course, you like Goldberg. So, wait, does that mean you were rooting for Bill Goldberg to beat Braun Strowman?
Goldberg. Yeah, I was rooting for Goldberg. I've been rooting for Goldberg since '97.
He was. He lied.
Argue with that. It's hard to argue. Oh man, that dude's entrance, Lord have mercy, man. So good.
That's true. Well,
Hold on.
we saw an era continue with the man beating Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's Championship and still champion Becky Lynch. It seems like it's about over a year now, which is going into. I mean, it's been record-breaking territory already, but it's continuing. We don't really see many title reigns last longer than a year. But what were you guys' overall thoughts? I want to start out with Leslie this time. When you saw this match, Shayna Baszler versus Becky Lynch, a lot of hype. I know we've been covering it. We were covering it when Shayna Baszler came in and hit a nice chunk of skin off of Becky's neck.
Ugh.
So what was your overall? Do you think this match delivered to the hype?
Yes, when it comes to Shayna, I feel like they built her up so well and she delivered. I did want this match to go a little bit longer. I felt like Becky didn't really get that chance to fight back. For me, the pin was a little weird, but Shayna definitely delivered, kicked Becky's butt. But of course, the man is the man, and she won her championship. But again, they really built Shayna up. I'm interested to see what's next for her.
Yeah.
And maybe, in my eyes, I think probably a rematch because I don't think it was fair in a way for her, but I definitely like the match overall.
Emily, what were your thoughts about the match?
Yeah, Leslie, I agree that Shayna, there was all this buildup of Shayna just going to, take the title away from Becky. And what I really wanted was that intensity, and she did deliver. Shayna did deliver, but I feel like it ended on a note that we've seen before. In all of the matches and matchups we've seen with them. And so I really wanted it to be this, it's WrestleMania. I wanted it to be this kind of big, this big moment. And I really wanted, because I wanted Shayna to win. So I'm a little biased here. So, so I felt like I was a little down after that match, unfortunately, but I wanted it to go a little bit longer, and I felt like it didn't hit its stride as it could have. As it could have.
I know we're all a big fan of women's wrestling. I know Evan used to host a Women's Wrestling Weekly when he was on AfterBuzz TV. What do you think would be next for Becky Lynch? Now she conquered pretty much the entire Raw division. She beat Shayna Baszler, who was the hottest act in NXT. Who's next for Becky Lynch?
That's a good question, man. Where do they think? Where are they going with this? Becky doesn't have too many people to dispatch. Man, I would like to see her go against Bianca. I wouldn't mind a little Bianca action. You know what I mean? Why not? You know what I mean? I think why not take the next step and go against old Becky Lynch? Why not?
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. Yeah.
What about you, Flobo? What do you think is next for Becky Lynch?
Where you at, Flobo?
Oh, that specific question, there's going to be a rematch. There's no way.
Yeah.
Here's the problem I
yeah.
have. The issue I have. Becky Lynch is the top of the Raw Women's division. On the Monday Raw After Show, we talked about the actual personnel in that division, how thin it is compared to SmackDown and NXT. My concern with this build was that you really only wanted Shayna Baszler to win if you were an NXT fan pre-moving to USA. If you were someone that watched as far as October on, when it was on basic cable, you had no idea who she was. She was just a cage fighter. So the way she lost today just says it's unfinished business because she didn't get demolished. She got a weird roll-up and pin. If I'm Shayna, I'm trying to figure out how do I dig deep on Monday nights.
Exactly. I agree, Flobo. Yeah.
Jack Farmer, I love talking lists with you. I love talking lists with everybody. Where would you rank after this historic title reign that's still continuing? Where would you rank Becky Lynch on the list of all-time best female wrestlers?
She has to be up there.
there.
Accolades alone, you have to put her up there. I'm still a Charlotte Flair guy, but how do you argue being the champion for a year, main eventing WrestleMania last year? And, I'll be honest, at the end of this match, at first I was really frustrated because I really wanted to see Shayna Baszler win. And I had thought that the title reign was starting to get a little stale. Flobo, that's actually a great point you made, too, that I didn't think about until you mentioned it. But I also was thinking that these are uncertain times. These are weird and they're tough. And I think it's actually a really smart move by the WWE to have someone that we can find hope in and inspired by stay as a champion for a little bit longer. I think it'd be really depressing to see someone like Becky Lynch lose the title at a time like this. So I think it was the right thing long term, and I think it was a good move. But Becky Lynch has to be crawling up that ranking very close to the top at this point. Much like a Tom Brady, you win so many championships, you do so much for so long, you got to be at the top of the list, right? Like it's hard to argue at this point.
But Jack, I get that, Jack, that like you need that, like right now we need some stability and some type of like status quo just so that we all feel comfortable. But also I feel like we also need to look at where Becky Lynch is going and what her next step is and if it makes sense or not. And trying to figure that out is hard. So I'm kind of torn because, she might be stuck in a place and she shouldn't be.
If I'm playing fantasy booker, then I'm saying Ronda Rousey at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I'd say like Flobo, a few more rematches with Baszler, and then after she finishes Baszler, then the final boss, so to speak, comes back at SummerSlam, and we get the big match then.
Go ahead.
I wasn't disappointed in Becky winning. I just didn't feel like it was a war between them, especially in the way it was like promoted and how hyped we were for this match. I felt like being the champion and being the man, she could have given a lot more, not just like that roll up. So I think definitely she's going to argue about it, and I want to see this rematch.
Oh yeah, that's definitely going down.
Yeah, I do feel that we're going to see a Ronda Rousey return on the horizon as well, though. So we'll see how that goes, especially during this time. But we also saw Kevin Owens finally get his WrestleMania moment against the Monday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins. Now, this feud kind of goes back to the Ring of Honor days. Now we saw them, I want to say it's still transitioned to this big platform regardless of what we saw or how many people were in the audience. It's still a pretty big deal to wrestle at WrestleMania, no matter how many people are in the crowd. So what are you guys' overall thoughts? I want to go with you, Evan. I know you're a big, huge wrestling fan as well, and you have always been. What are your thoughts about this overall match, and are we going to see more from Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins?
Yeah, it was great, man. It was great to see. Like I said, it's great to see two competitors go at it, and the way it's built. And it's a unique situation how it is, you know what I mean? So you have to do the best job you can under the circumstances. Now, those moments that people don't understand on a personal level mean a lot to these superstars. So I just like that Kevin Owens took this moment to raise the bar, even with no crowd, and go on top of that sign and do something that was unforgettable, even create a WrestleMania moment when you didn't think he could.
Yeah.
Jack, what was your overall thoughts? I know you've been again. Also, we're all big wrestling fans, and again, we've this kind of.
I watched it a little bit. I dabbled.
Watch a couple matches.
It was your first day as a fan today, but we've been seeing this feud. I know you guys, Flobo, Jack. You guys been watching Raw every week as we all do. This feud kind of simmering for a few months.
Yeah.
Did you think this was a good payoff, especially after that DQ finish that segued into a no DQ match?
You know, I agree. This one's been building for quite a while. I'm actually excited to see it blown off a bit. I didn't really like the DQ then changing the rules. That felt a little wonky to me, but I will say after that no DQ thing was added, this match really started to go from feeling like it was a match in an empty arena to feeling like a WrestleMania moment type match. And as mentioned earlier, Kevin Owens jumping off the sign is a replay moment we will see again and again and again. So cool that he took that risk and took that move, and big on Seth Rollins, man. He just laid there for it. Good for him.
Yeah.
Taking that one. But to me, it's funny. It's one of those matches where I completely changed my perspective on it as the match went on. At first, I was like, I've seen these guys fight forever. I didn't really like that DQ changing the rule to no DQ thing to, wow, this is intense. Wow, this is heated. Wow, he's coming off the top. To one of my favorite moments of the night, Seth Rollins saying, it doesn't have to be this way before eating a stunner.
Yeah.
Fantastic match. Absolutely great. I end with good remarks.
Flobo, what do you think is next for each of these guys? Like I said, they've been kind of, I mean, in wrestling they called it married. They've been kind of married with each other for a little bit. What do you think is next for each Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins?
Seth Rollins, he took the loss this weekend, but he definitely has something going on. I know Razor is still hurt, but they can totally make something happen with the Messiah thing because, frankly, he's a villain that's still a good guy. He just thought that he wants the best for Raw. You can put him anywhere. You can put him down in the car with Aleister Black, who got to win this weekend, who seems to be on the rise, what I would do if I was the fantasy booker. Kevin Owens, though, he's a bit of an enigma because 4 months ago, we thought he was the guy. We thought that he was going to be the Stone Cold of the Raw brand. And for whatever reason, not trying to say neither here or there, as Evan Mack said, the bag of shells, he's kind of in the mix. He needs that next feud to hit and hit hard more than anyone on that roster right now.
Yeah.
Leslie, what do you think is next for Kevin Owens?
Oh, that's hard. I definitely want to see him in a title match. It doesn't have to be the big title, but it can be a feud where, because Kevin Owens is for me, he's one of the best wrestlers right now. And it wasn't just the way he wrestled. I feel like in the past couple months, his promos have gotten so good where I feel like after losing Samoa Joe and losing that second person, he really had to give it his all for us to buy into him. And I feel like he delivered. So I definitely want to see him go for a title. It doesn't matter which one, but I think he's next.
Emily, do you think Kevin Owens is ready for a WWE championship run? I know now that Drew McIntyre is champion. Do you see kind of a program between them at any time?
Definitely. I mean, I feel like his promos, like Leslie said, have been fantastic. I feel like this match tonight or two nights ago showed that he has what it takes, and he has for a long time. But just finding the right place for him, the way that there was like two phases to this match, and I feel like it ended with the DQ and then like kind of revamped, and like the fire was underneath him. And I feel like the anger and all the frustration over the past few months built up, and it was totally well represented in this match. And so he created a moment for himself, and I feel like he's ready for it.
Kevin Owens said that when he first saw the potential stage for the Tampa Stadium, he wanted to jump off the big pirate ship. So I guess this will do. I mean, it was still an amazing highlight.
It was still incredible.
Yeah, you got to take what you can get, and kudos to him for still kind of having his WrestleMania moment even under these circumstances, which a lot of people did have this weekend. And kudos to everybody involved. Another set of guys that had, to me, one of the best matches of the weekend. Let me say this right because there's a lot of T's in here. A triple threat ladder match for the tag team titles.
Yes.
Obviously, we were supposed to see 3 teams, and what I thought would have been maybe an homage to what we saw 20 years ago with the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian. But things happened. But we saw still 3 amazing athletes with Jimmy Uso, John Morrison, and Kofi Kingston.
Great.
Flobo, I want to ask you
Incredible.
because apparently I saw you chatting it up with Kofi Kingston these past couple days. But what were your overall thoughts?
Yeah, your BFF.
Let's plug that out.
Yeah, man, better get Maria Menounos. What's up?
Yes.
Look at him.
What was your thoughts of this match? I mean, obviously they took what they can get, but still, in my opinion, an amazing ladder match.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? I would say this: these 3 men proved that there is some value of being the workhorse. You know, a lot of times we sit here on these shows and say, man, he works so hard. You don't get the recognition they deserve. Like Cesaro, for example. We always say he works so hard. He needs this and that and that. These guys got the spotlight. For whatever happened, I'm not going to say behind stage or not, this 6-man match became a 3-man match, and it became a match that stole the show, which says a lot about the resilience of John Morrison, the stamina of Kofi Kingston, and the outright ingenuity of either Uso. Give me any Uso at any point in time.
Almost.
Match on Saturday night. I think Jimmy had the match, but it was my favorite match on Saturday night, hands down.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about you? What'd you think, Emily?
I mean, I was like, I feel like John Morrison is superhuman and is like, just is incredible. Like, he's always been incredible. And I'm so glad that he had this moment where he could really shine. And just some of his moves in this match, I was blown away. And I just was so happy for him. And I feel like all of them were fantastic, but I feel like he was the one that stood out for me.
Evan, how do you think this match compared to some of the other ladder matches we've seen on previous WrestleManias?
Pretty great, man. Full disclosure, man. I can't tell Usos apart, to be honest with you, man. Just call him Uso. I swear to you, I seen him backstage. I say, "What's up, Uso?" That's all I said. Just keep him moving. He didn't know which one it was.
Just keep going.
Such a smart move.
Can one of y'all get more pudgy or skinnier or something so I can figure it out that way? Get the exact same body type at the exact same time. It's really frustrating. But no, it was really great, man. It's like I said, you after you suspend like what we already know, George, you know what I mean, about not having the 70+ styles. After you suspend that, you come to grips with that, come to terms with that, and then you focus in on the collar and elbow and the wrestling. It is a hell of a ladder match, man. It really was. It was a hell of a ladder match with 3 terrific competitors, 3 first ballot Hall of Famers, in my opinion.
What about you, Leslie? How do you think this played out against previous ladder matches?
For me, this was definitely, for night one of my favorite matches overall. Yes, I understand why, it ended a little weird, because obviously I think they would like to celebrate with their tag team partner. It would be weird, not to, for example, I was rooting for the Usos. I'm a huge Usos fan. They're really good in ring. I really loved about this match is that we've seen so many ladder matches that you need to get really creative with the way you use a ladder. And I feel like they almost killed each other while using that ladder, and it was one of the best matches for me for night one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jack,
it's hard to keep. Yeah, it's hard to keep all the ladder matches creative by the different moves and how you like put them together, and so it was great.
Yeah, you can't even give your body for the adrenaline of a crowd. There is no crowd. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Just continuous kudos to all these guys. But Jack, do you think the right team won, or would you have liked to seen the New Day win again, or the Usos win at WrestleMania?
Man, they all would have been great picks to win. And speaking of winning, I thought that this ladder match had one of my favorite ladder match endings I have seen in about as long as I can remember. Such a cool way to end it. And this was such a good example of how, sometimes life throws you a curveball and things are different than what you planned for. And you can use that as an excuse to maybe not do great. Or you can say, we're still going to drive it home, still go for match of the night. And that's what these 3 did. They really turned out for this match. And for me, on night 1, this was the match that fully pulled me into the show and made me forget about no fans. I forgot about it.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
These guys got me in there, and I forgot all about no fans. That's how good this was. This was a stellar match, top to bottom. But that finish is going to be remembered for a long time.
You said it very, very well.
Sure.
Very, very, very well. Another match that I thought was going to steal the show, quite didn't. It was still pretty good, though. 2 independent darlings, Hall of Famers, 2 guys that could just go. Sami Zayn against Daniel Bryan for the Intercontinental Championship. Flobo, what were your overall thoughts on this match? I know we didn't really quite see the technical masterpiece that we know they can do, that we saw them do in the Ring of Honors and all the PWGs. But what were your overall thoughts on this match?
Damn, Drew Gulak, superstar in the background for the longest time, really showed out here at WrestleMania that says, hey, look, I'm here to play. I'm a star too. Daniel Bryan is one of those guys that I unfortunately did not appreciate. I'm glad I'm able to appreciate him now as an active competitor, but able to elevate that talent and actually change and modify his style to even get Drew Gulak in that mix. I mean, that to me was like worth the price of admission, I thought. So it was already one of the more interesting matchups. It was one of the ones I found myself not saying anything and watching. which is always a good sign. I hope they stick together for a long time.
Jack, how do you think? I don't know why you said Jack. What do you think of this Intercontinental title match compared
Incredibles,
to
baby.
previous ones? I mean, obviously, WrestleMania and Intercontinental Championships can be very synonymous with each other as far as WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 10. Do you think this one's going to be known as the classic that those type were?
I don't know if it's going to be a classic on those levels. I really loved it. I think as Flobo said earlier, I think Drew Gulak has arrived and he's on the outside for this one. I think that Daniel Bryan is like bacon. You can add him to anything and he finds a way to fit in and be delicious. I think Daniel Bryan is so good all around. And Sami Zayn, I love that. And Sami Zayn, I love the way they were working the no crowd there. This was a fun match. It was exactly what you look for in a WrestleMania, a fun match that has all these things that keep it interesting. But you know, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'm being fair. That we don't like to pretend on this show. Those other ones are quite legendary. I don't know if this is gonna be legendary, but it was a great match.
Leslie, you said earlier you were a big fan of the actual wrestling part of it. You thought you were going to see a little bit of wrestling with AJ Styles, but we saw the wrestling with these two guys. So did you enjoy this match?
I loved this match. It was definitely an amazing match. For me, Daniel Bryan is one of my favorite wrestlers, especially because of his technical moves. He definitely brought out different moves, so I really appreciated him in this match, and Sami Zayn as well, because he brought out the best out of each other. You can tell Sami Zayn at one point was like, I can't do it anymore, but he kept fighting and he retained his championship. Of course, I would have liked to see Daniel Bryan win this championship, but props to him. He has some of the best moves and really makes wrestling so fun to watch because he's so good with his technical moves. I loved it.
What did you think of this match, Emily?
Oh my! I mean, I loved it. I mean, you guys all hit all the wonderful points. You know, I've always enjoyed Daniel Bryan, and I feel like now that he's at a different point in his career and kind of he's been at WrestleMania before, he's been champion before, so he's at kind of like a different point in his in the moments that he's creating, and so he's been able to adapt and kind of still adjust and create, like Leslie said, really like technical wrestling, but make it entertaining. And I feel like they did adapt to the no audience very well and still made it very entertaining.
Evan, what do you think is next for Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn?
That's a good question, man. I'm not sure. I'm glad to see him back in the forefront right now, especially going. If you're a wrestling purist, shout out to Cesaro. You know, and you like a good old collar and elbow. It's good to see like wrestlers wrestle. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's the right. That looks Cesaro.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I don't know what's next, George. Man, what would you like to see though, man? If you could book him somewhere, you could put him with somebody. What would you do?
Drew Gulak. Oh, we're going to talk a little bit about Drew Gulak in a few minutes, but yeah, I feel like we're seeing the slow immersion of Drew Gulak, and maybe
it's Drew Gulak's time. It's Drew Gulak's time.
We're going to talk about him in a couple minutes, but Leslie, I know you're a big Alexa Bliss fan. So, what were your overall thoughts when you saw Crisscross Applesauce, Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross become Women's Tag Team Championship?
Okay, here we go. So, we've talked about this in the Raw and Espanol after show. The only problem for me, I felt like I needed more of a build-up for this match. We've talked about this, George, so many times, the fact that these tag team champions went from being something so prestigious to, you know, them kind of just carrying them around. So I really hope that Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss take these titles to a whole other level, because they have so many women on the roster that have so much talent where they can even team up and really create something for this tag team titles. I really felt like Nikki Cross showed out in this match. She took a beating and definitely demonstrated that she's worth to be a tag team champion. Alexa Bliss, of course, you know, she does her moves. She's great. I definitely love the Kabuki Warriors. Asuka and Kairi Sane, they're so entertaining. I feel like in the past couple months, their characters changed so much to really develop to be a team. And I loved seeing them. Even right now with no audience, they're perfect to entertain.
We heard Michael Cole said it as soon as the match was over, but Evan, what do you think the overall performance of Nikki Cross?
I like Nikki Cross, man. Always have any way she does it, whether she's playing really nice or she's playing evil. Like I like to see her just be relevant and in the mix. And she does work well with Alexa Bliss. It was sad to see the Kabuki Warriors lose the titles, but that's neither here nor there. I don't cry over spilled milk. You know, I like Nikki Cross, man. I like Scotland. You know what I mean? I like Braveheart. You know what I mean?
So Jack, what do you think is next for Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross?
Ooh.
I think that's a great question. First, I want to say Kairi Sane with the coolest intro attire of the weekend,
yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
So cool. She
Always
was
incredible.
And I agree. I think the Kabuki Warriors are so entertaining. I was really disheartened that they lost the titles at first. But again, as I thought about it, I think that this, answering your question, George, is a perfect segue into the return of the Iconics. That now they have some.
The chat is talking about the Iconics.
Villainous return. And I think I think this is what they've been holding them off for. I think this is the chance for them to return. And I think the Kabuki Warriors are going to be just as entertaining with or without the title. So I think it was a really good move overall. But I love the Kabuki Warriors. They're one of my they're one of my favorite acts right now.
Well, speaking of the Kabuki Warriors, Flobo, would you keep them together, or would you split them apart and see maybe what somebody like a Kairi Sane can do solo?
Yeah, what's cool about those two is that over time they became a collective idea, a collective unit. My biggest gripe is purely cosmetic. How you have the Empress of Tomorrow and the Pirate Princess, either the Kabuki Warriors, not like anything royalty involved. But no, I think it's time. I mean, they've evolved so much. Asuka was basically like splintered off over her feud with Becky Lynch. Raw needs a single division, ladies. Kairi Sane can go elsewhere, and the SmackDown division, the women's side, has a lot more people available to be in tag teams. So it's the right move all around. I want to have them split up. We'll have more people on the Raw side.
I 100% agree. Emily, I want to talk about Elias versus King Corbin. What are your overall?
Oh, we're jumping. I don't get to talk about the women's match.
Okay, let's talk about it. I'm
on Women's Wrestling Weekly, yo.
I figured you have a whole hour to talk about it.
No, well, I was just gonna say.
Would you keep them together?
You mean the Kabuki Warriors?
Yeah,
I think they can do. Yeah, I mean, I feel like they can be, singles wrestlers just as well. I feel like they've had a great run, but you have to make it meaningful. You can't just do it just to do it.
Yeah.
So I feel also that Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, I love their contrasting personalities and their styles. And tonight I feel like they really showed that they work well together. So I'm interested to see kind of where they go from here.
So what are your thoughts about Elias and King Corbin?
They're two individuals, they're great guys.
That one?
It's the King, baby.
It's the King Corbin.
I mean, it was. We can all agree it was there.
It was I wasn't super enthusiastic about this one. I didn't think it was, kind of a WrestleMania level match, unfortunately.
Did anybody think, and this is no disrespect to any of these two guys, did anybody think that maybe these guys delivered maybe one of the best matches that I'm missing out on? It was just a good filler match, right?
It was a good filler match.
Yeah. I think they always deliver. Yeah, they always deliver, but it's so hard to, because the order of this show, you're gonna have ups and downs, and so this was just one of those matches where you had to calm kind of the fans down a little bit as
the fans.
You get to they're the fans watching, not the fans in the.
Well, I thought you meant the overhead.
Oh yeah, the fans. It got hot in there. It got hot.
But just before we're about to wrap up the pre-show, we did mention Drew Gulak earlier. He was on the pre-show match with Cesaro, and I know he did it on the Indies, but I've never seen this move before. But the UFO, I guess it's called, the no hands airplane spin.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yes.
What was that?
It was so cool.
Yeah,
I guess it was cool.
It was cool. That's all.
Here's the thing about Cesaro, and I can't believe this guy should have been king of the ring, but whatever. Here's the deal with Cesaro. He's freakishly strong. He's fast. He's charismatic. He's handsome as hell. I mean, he's a good dresser. He can do anything you want. You put him in Saudi Arabia with Mansoor, dope match. Put him on SmackDown, dope match. WrestleMania pre-show, dope match. Why is this guy not in the title picture? I have no idea, but my love for Cesaro is endless.
And he can speak 5 languages. I mean, goodness sakes. But I did want to talk about Drew Gulak for a quick second before we wrap up night one. I know Emily. I know we know a lot of people that have been influenced by Drew Gulak a lot. What do you think is the ceiling? What do you think is the ceiling for this guy? I mean, we've seen a lot of good things. Obviously, the Elimination Chamber match with Daniel Bryan was just
incredible,
sick, phenomenal.
Yeah.
But do you think that he's next in line for maybe an Intercontinental title run?
I would love to see that. I want him to go above and beyond, fly for the stars. You know, he deserves a big title, a title reign and a big title shot. So I want him to go as far as he can go, and it's his time. He's worked so hard and just is incredibly talented and is such a nice person. So I feel like it's his time.
If you have any additional thoughts about Drew Gulak for night one, tweet it, because we got to start talking about night two.
We got so much. There's not enough. Not enough
that was just night one, for goodness sake. That's right. Now,
I'm tweeting right now. Baron Corbin should have won his match. Send. All right, let's go.
Yes. Night two. Now, this was the original date for WrestleMania, April 5th, 2020.
Yeah.
So this was the 28th anniversary of WrestleMania 5 or WrestleMania 8 at the Hoosier Dome. I don't know. Anyone out there? No?
Why would you?
Gotta calculate that.
George Hermoza go to George
April 5th, April 5th, 1992.
Oh my god.
No one's going to dispute that, George. You win Boulder Dash, bro. I don't know what.
Ain't nobody gonna dispute that. They're like, yep.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Well, either way, we saw at the end of night two, it looks like the beginning of the McIntyre era. I know Evan was talking about what will praise Scotland. We got a Scottish guy winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the 52nd WWE champion of all time. What are your thoughts about this match? And now Drew McIntyre is the guy, Evan.
The great Drew McIntyre, the first United Kingdom champion, man, the first British champion of all time. Drew McIntyre, man, listen, man, he's corn-fed, man. I tell you, man, that's all I know. He's the corn-fed mule, man. listen. It was the culmination of so many things, man. A guy who will admittedly tell you that his first run, he made mistakes, and the only person to blame was himself. He'll be the first one to tell you that. To see him leave, come back, NXT title, have a little lull, have a nice little run with Ziggler, and then get to this moment, man. I just think it's really awesome, man, to see. Because you see that real emotion in that crowd. I just wish that the Scottish fans and everyone from the United Kingdom could have been there for him, but he still had that emotion. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Now, Leslie, we talked about him every week on Monday Night Raw in Espanol. What are your overall thoughts about Drew McIntyre? He won the Royal Rumble. He had this, this sick run. Are you satisfied with the Drew McIntyre champion?
Of course I'm satisfied. I love him. I think, like Evan said, the thing that hit me the most was his evolution from like 3MB and then to where he is now, how he had to really transform himself, and his story and the way they really showed that and how much it meant to him. It got to me. I was like almost in tears because that's hard work. That's hard work in the business, and he killed it. That was enough for me. What was it, 4 Claymores? Enough.
Lobito, what do you think of overall, just the overall build-up? Do you think that Drew McIntyre was, I know he was ready, but do you think everything that happened in the build-up, do you think this was his time? Or do you think that maybe a couple more months or maybe even a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's a little bit different now with the lack of crowds and whatnot, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it was time. He was getting to that window where it's like, it's now or never. And it's, we say that. You could always get a title 2 years down the line, but it won't be the same kind of thing. Drew McIntyre was hot, had a very, very believable Royal Rumble. His time was now. But the only problem I had with tonight, and this might get me fired. This might be the heel Beto of it all.
Here we go.
It continues this terrible precedent that to beat Brock Lesnar, you don't have to outsmart him. You don't have to be faster or stronger. Just spam your finishing move over and over again like he's a level 1 video game boss. I mean, Brock Lesnar's the champ. He's a monster. He should be able to adapt and see it coming. But the fact he did that to Seth Rollins last year and Drew McIntyre again this year, I was like, all right, well, good night, everybody.
You called him a level 1 boss?
You expect Drew McIntyre to snapmare takedown Brock Lesnar?
Yes, I want collar and elbow.
You trying to get some collar and elbow? You trying to get like an instant? You trying to get an instant-guri, and you trying to?
I want a 75-minute classic.
You gonna put him in a headlock?
Yes, I want hammerlocks. Yes.
Tornado DDT.
No.
Exactly.
They already had like an hour match.
Yeah.
fine.
What posing?
This match was only, according to Wikipedia, this match was only 4.5 minutes long. Emily, did you
Yes.
expect to see like a longer match? Did you want a longer match in this?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings because I feel like a 4.5 minute match, you can do a lot in 4.5 minutes if you have a diverse mix of wrestling moves. And so you could do a lot, but they chose to do like similar moves over and over again. So I feel like it could have been longer if it was thought out and diversified the moves a little bit. But it doesn't necessarily need to be longer to make it better.
Jack Farmer, I know you're a big Brock Lesnar fan. Were you hoping for a Brock Lesnar retaining the title, or were you hoping that he?
Yeah, I'm the leader of the Brock flock, the head broccoli. You know, this was a good story. I love
Can we get Jack off
story.
the
I love seeing.
You're breaking up.
Of course, I wanted Brock to win, but look, I love the story. I love seeing, as mentioned already, the journey that McIntyre has been on. And look, as far as how long the match was, I think it was the right call. I think it was good keeping it short. Look, we didn't want to see a Mack classic here. We wanted to see Drew McIntyre win. And so they said, how do we get Drew McIntyre a championship that everyone wants to see? There's no crowd to work. There's no like build to give at that point. Give us what we want. Give us what we want. As Batista would say, give me what I want. And that's
give me what I want, Triple H. Give me what I
want. That's what they did. It was perfect. We didn't need to see chain wrestling and Hurricane Ranas and Tope Suicidas and all this other stuff. No. Let me just get a Claymore, an F5, a Claymore, an F7, a Claymore.
It's solid. It's very simple, but it works.
Just look, Jack. I'm gonna fight you on this one. I'm gonna fight you on this one because okay, at the Royal Rumble, Claymore, Brock out of the ring. On Raw, 4 Claymores in an episode, Brock is laid out, and then today Brock is laid out again. You don't think Brock, a trained MMA fighter, would say, "Let me block my face for once"? Never. Come on.
Hold on, Flobo. Hold on. Heel Beto.
Now take it down.
Hold on, Heel Beto. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a cotton pick a minute. Hold on for a second, man. The thing about Brock is, but that's the thing about Brock. Even in a loss, he's still viable. You know what I mean? So like, if he came back on Monday, if he came back on Monday and was like, "Yo, let's go," you know what I mean? You'd be like, "Why not?"
Why drop his hands? Don't drop your hands, Brock. You're a fighter.
Yeah.
Why drop your hands?
Yeah, the thing is, it works. It works either way. We know what Brock Lesnar can do and is going to do, so it's okay that this wasn't necessarily a super surprising match. We just wanted Drew McIntyre to win, and we got what he wanted, or what we all wanted. So, well, I guess except Jack, but
apparently Jack Farmer.
Just hit the B button. Hit the B button as long as you can.
Flobo, I want to predict.
Going home sad.
All right, I want a prediction for each and every single one of you. Flobo, you first. How long before Heath Slater becomes WWE champion?
Well, he keeps doing the same move over and over again. Probably by next week. No, when Heath Slater's being champion, George.
I mean Jinder Mahal and Drew McIntyre became champion. Now it's time for the 3-3MB to be WWE champion, right? Does this not motivate Heath Slater in any single way?
Yes.
Yes, he has kids.
Right, they all like you would think, right? If you're a wrestler, you saw Jinder Mahal wasn't exactly a main eventer. He got ripped. Drew McIntyre got ripped. Like, right? Heath Slater,
transformed.
George, that just
I'll
shows.
Answer your question.
Go ahead, Jack.
He's going to win the title at Fastlane 2023. That's
2023.
You don't think he's gonna? You don't think he's gonna win at Boneyard 2024?
No, that's
something else, George.
That's something else. Place the stomping grounds.
This is not bad at all.
So you think that there will be a Boneyard event sometime soon? Do you think that there will be a Firefly Fun House event at some point, Jack?
I have no idea.
Yes.
That was cool. Such a great story to watch, though. Look, I don't care. Look, you could have said show nothing except for John Cena in the NWO shirt dancing like Hulk Hogan, and I would have been happy with all of WrestleMania.
I'm
was
printing
such
that
a
out.
cool
Put it on the
story.
wall.
It was such a good story about like how they were telling the story of who he was, comparing him to Hogan, holding people back, and I thought it was art. I thought it was great. I don't know if I could see the same kind of thing 100 times, but I think for what they were doing, that was executed incredibly well. The only downside to it is now I want to see him have another match. I want to see him do something else. I want to continue this story that they've started.
You mean between them two, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think about, Evan? Like this was another match that we talked a little bit. I asked for your opinion in the Boneyard match. This was another just unknown match that we had no idea what to expect. What were you kind of overall thoughts about this Firefly Fun House match?
Man, I think that was one of the greatest things, if not the greatest thing they've done in a decade, maybe more. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I was flabbergasted. I was blown away, man. You know, because no ref, no whatever, just like a psychological. It was like Hannibal Lecter on steroids, man. He was doing all kinds of stuff. Man. He's putting them in outfits, man. He's doing witchcraft and wizardry, man. It was hogwarts. It was slithering up in there. It was Hufflepuff up in there, man. It was so crazy to see that match. And I was sitting there with Heidi, and we were just sitting there, just quiet, like just watching it. It was unreal, man. Bray Wyatt, man, pulled the heist of the century.
Yeah.
Leslie,
All I can say, I gotta say, today it felt like I went downstairs on Christmas morning and there were tons of presents.
The callback, y'all. That's a callback. Damn.
Now, Leslie, did you feel the same way about this match, Leslie, than you did about the Boneyard match? Did you kind of think it was a little bit out of the ordinary?
No, actually, I was so entertained by this. I don't know what it was. I think the different outfits, and if you guys haven't seen, I know, George, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't seen Ruthless Aggression in John Cena's story, they connected that so well. I loved it.
It's like a commercial.
It was like, if you haven't seen that, go watch it. It's so good, and that way you know John Cena's story as well. But I gotta give props to Bray Wyatt. Ever since he became the Fiend, he's become so creative with this Firefly Fun House. It was, for me, 100%. It was so good.
Yeah.
Was this match, Flobo, was this match everything that you kind of thought it was going to be? Or was it just completely like, wow, I thought that was nothing like I pictured it in my head?
I think the format of it being in the house and then there's different levels inside the house is pretty much what I thought. I didn't expect Bray Wyatt to go full Metal Gear Solid Psycho Mantis and get inside Cena's head. There's no way he could protect that head at all. But I really thought the only thing that twisted for me was I didn't know how do you win one, right? Turns out you don't. You just go in there and just automatically lose. So that was a surprise. And I think having the Boneyard match the night before was perfect to understand that this is going to be a cinematic experience, if you will.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
I know, Emily, you were going to mention something.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that this was, like Flobo said, this was a perfect second night cinematic experience where we're not only in the Fiend's head, we're in his Firefly Fun House, and John Cena is lost in it. But not only John Cena of today, but John Cena of eras ago. And so he's like struggling to get through this. And so the storytelling was so fantastic, so creative. I loved every second of it. As a producer, I was like, I want to call Netflix and I want them to do a multiple episodic series of Firefly Fun House and have this be a thing, because it felt like this was like a mini short film that I was watching and I was totally into it every second. But the one question I had was who wins? And really, when you're stuck in the Firefly Fun House, there are no winners.
No.
I have one question too.
Go ahead.
Mr. Coco Cena, is John Cena dead or here?
Who knows where he is?
He sounds so innocent. Is he
dead? Hold on. You asked about John.
He's with AJ Styles.
Yeah, you asked about John Cena. You don't care about AJ Styles?
I love John Cena.
He's with AJ Styles. He's hanging out.
Stumbling around at the fun house. That would have been fun.
I think the GOAT will stumble his way out, man. I literally don't. I have no answer to this, man. I'm saying I'm flabbergasted, man. This is what it takes to be the GOAT. You gotta do Pennywise tricks. You gotta resort to Pennywise stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that I loved how it brought in John Cena's kind of like film career as well, and just like used his talents of just like and upping Bray Wyatt's game for his, you know, what he was saying and kind of his acting, and it kind of upped the whole production value of this WrestleMania.
It's going to be kind of a little impossible to compare the two between the Firefly Fun House and the Boneyard. It is hard. I mean, I think they were maybe the two best highlights of the entire weekend of Mania. But man, I absolutely loved, like, cannot get enough of the Firefly Fun House. To even the little quirks of Bray Wyatt saying, you know, dodging John Cena's attacks and saying, "Well, you can look, but you can't touch."
Oh my
Even
gosh, yes.
and even something that he said, and it was so simple foreshadowing that we thought it meant nothing, where he said, "I'm the red," and everybody's kind of black and white. And then 10 minutes later, he shows up in the red wolf pack while John Cena shows up in the black and white. Like I don't know. There are so many things, like Emily is saying, just like such mind blowing. Like this was so unique. It's something that I want to see again, but also like not overdo it. Like this is one of those special ones. I can see a Boneyard match every 6 months, but this is like a once in a lifetime kind of like I say once in a lifetime, but it's gonna happen next year, like Rock and Cena too.
But it was so incredibly thought out that they chose, like, it was the Firefly Funhouse was a moment where they're pulling stuff from like the archives. So like you can they're referencing stuff that like old school wrestling fans will know, and then also new ones. And so they're like merging all those worlds together. So it kind of created a really creative moment that was really fun. And I feel like this is going to be one of those segments that we're going to remember for years to come.
I agree. This was just phenomenal. Another thing that we saw phenomenal, fresh off, I don't know if anybody caught it, the WWE 24 documentary special on Edge, you know, in his second mountain. We saw the return of the Rated R Superstar here on WrestleMania 36 and a last man standing match. This was another one, I think, and I'm sure Flobo, Jack, I've seen you guys on Monday Night Raw after show. Probably one of the best storylines we've seen with Edge and Orton, and obviously Beth Phoenix involved. Flobo, what were your overall thoughts of the build-up for this match and the actual execution of it?
First of all, I want to say shout out to Heidi Mack and Barry Mack. Second of all, it was the most personal storyline that we've seen. It's one of the two matches we'll talk about today where I felt was classic WrestleMania. Here is something where it's just not like, I want the title or I just want to be the best. It was, hey, look, I have this idea, and Edge's case coming back and getting that glory. And Randy Orton took it upon himself, Lex Luger style, to say, I'm doing you a favor, which is amazing because pick your pony. Who do you want to win? My guy did not win today. It's all good, but the match itself was amazing. But amazing.
What about you, Emily?
I mean, this again was one of those matches that everyone was looking forward to. And again, you have legends. You have two legends, like with an incredible storyline, incredible history backing them up. And there was so much emotion. Like I got choked up with when it's near the end of the match, and Edge is getting emotional, and they're on top of the production truck, and you just like this is like the pinnacle of their career right now. And it was one of those things that on top of like the Edge documentary, creating this build up, and just you have his top matches of all time, and this I feel like is one of them, because you have this comeback story that's incredible. So it just added so much to the emotion of tonight.
Jack Farmer, how pumped were you when you saw the Edge come back at Royal Rumble? Now kind of, I know he's going to continue wrestling, but now kind of full circle at WrestleMania, where he had one of his last big matches at WrestleMania 26 just 9 years ago.
On this day, I see clearly. I love everything comes to life. It was so cool to see him come back, because he's one of those guys you totally wrote off, like he was done, and here he is. And it was very just like, you know, I don't want to say dreams do come true, but like I thought he was 100% done forever, and to see him come back was cool. This match felt very physical. The whole build-up felt very personal. As Flobo said, this was WrestleMania. Some matches, like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, say like you can see them come back and be like, oh, let's have a rematch or whatever. No, like these guys were going into this like, no, winner take all, last man standing. This was for all the marbles, and it felt that way. I love the way Orton really sold that spear on top of the truck too, like, you know, you know.
Yeah.
And then Edge going for the concerto instead of just getting the count out. pitch perfect. Great match.
Evan, this was one of the longest. I think this was the longest match of the whole
I
weekend.
think it was like
It
an
really,
hour.
it really didn't felt this way. This was just such captivating storytelling. Have you seen like better storytelling in a match in a recent time?
I don't think so, George. And I think you hit the nail on the head, bro. It was a beautiful thing because there was so much realness to it, and there were so many things involved. There were so many like real elements, and it was good watching someone you never thought to see wrestle again with a very, very serious injury. Was to me one of the best to ever do it in Randy Orton. And I think, and like I said, just being so innovative and literally having to pivot on the fly because of this pandemic we're in, and having to have one thought and then have a pivot to a different thought and use the whole performance center and different things, production trucks and weights, and he's climbing on fences like Spider-Man and elbow dropping people on tables, man. It was beautiful to watch, man. It truly was.
Yeah, what'd you think of some of Edge's maneuvers as far as like Evan said, climbing up into the elbow drop, or what did you think, Leslie?
I was definitely surprised. I was concerned at one point because I literally felt like they were beating each other up to the point where both of them were not going to be left standing. So I love the execution of it. I think both of them got really creative with everything that was in hand. There were so many props available, and they really used everything that was available in the building, I think. So I love the fact that I'm big about stories. So Edge's story is very personal and very, injuries. We've seen the comeback of Daniel Bryan. We see the comeback of Edge. So I think it's really cool to see, them win and just execute everything. And he did everything perfect tonight. I was feeling that match. And I even got emotional too, because it was like, you can tell how emotional that was for him at the end, where he knew that match was over.
Yeah. What do you think is next for Edge, Flobo? Where do you go if you're Edge from here?
Hard to say with the hard to say with the current environment, but if it was a normal situation, I would definitely hold him for SummerSlam or the second Saudi show. Edge is fine wine. He will print money for you. The last thing you want to do is end up becoming like an old gimmick about it. What made this one work was because it was a very personal story on brand with Randy Orton. You don't want to put him out there every week. And it sucks to say that because I know that Edge can go if he wanted to.
Yeah.
We had 18 matches this past weekend for Saturday and Sunday. 2 of them were kind of considered a whole like a spectacle in some ways, not really a match. But in my opinion, I think the best match of the whole weekend was Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Women's Wrestling Weekly host. What were your thoughts of this? And NXT host. What were your thoughts of this Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley?
Yeah, totally. So this was a match again that I feel like everyone was talking about. I was in Rhea Ripley's camp from the beginning, even though I love Charlotte, but I was rooting for, my NXT champion. I feel like Rhea Ripley really showcased her extreme athleticism, her talent, and again, Charlotte always brings it. I'm a little sad about the changing of titles, but I know that it's going to be, I feel like it's the best decision to make right now because it's going to switch things up and we're going to see some interesting rivalries happen because of it.
I want to talk to your fellow NXT host, Flobo Boyce. What was your overall thoughts of this match? I know, like I mentioned, I thought it was the best match of the weekend that was in a ring. What were your overall thoughts on the match?
The result first was surprising, and no disrespect to Rhea Ripley, Charlotte Flair, the NXT Women's Division, but next week on NXT they're having that women's ladder match.
They are, yeah.
And the women in that match to me felt like more natural matchups for Rhea Ripley. So I guess I kind of walked in there with an expectation, but WWE was like, "Forget your expectations, fool!" And Charlotte Flair is the best in the world. When we talk about the Raw brand and talent, right? Charlotte Flair is the best in the world at what she does, but you made the decision to have Becky Lynch to be the women's champion. The only thing you can do is put Charlotte and Becky, and the crowd is sick of that. So what do? You put her on a brand new fit territory, a brand new field to elevate the other talent. So I am getting used to the idea. I'm liking it a bit more. I wonder who's going to be the number one contender come Wednesday and how fast those things are going to turn around. Or is Charlotte Flair going to do the most Flair thing and drop the title because it's beneath her? That will be a surprise.
Ooh, I know we talked a lot about that, Flobo, and what would happen. So,
So Leslie, do you think the right person won? Because a lot of people are saying that, Charlotte doesn't need the belt. Rhea needs it more. So who do you think the right person won, Leslie?
Oh, I'm stuck in the middle with this one because I feel like it was kind of Rhea Ripley's time. So she would have been fine holding on to the belt because I'm confused on what Charlotte is gonna do now. I feel like she can definitely do a lot and have a lot of great matches in NXT, but I feel like Rhea Ripley should have won because again, I think we're all confused on what is Charlotte gonna do with this. So she's gonna go back to NXT.
Yeah.
Where do we go moving forward? So we have a lot of questions in regards to that. But again, it keeps us curious. We're gonna keep wanna watch NXT now and see what she's gonna do there. But Charlotte definitely delivered tonight. She was brutal, and Rhea Ripley, props to her for handling all that toughness because I was so scared.
It was brutal. It was brutal. There was times where I didn't know if Rhea Ripley would stand back up. So
yeah.
Evan, with her classic match just 2 years ago against Asuka, and now, in my opinion, her classic match with Rhea Ripley, do you think that Charlotte is slowly becoming Miss WrestleMania?
It's undeniable, man. It's Jack's girl, man. But he makes a good point, man. Who's better? Who's better than her, man? Let's be honest, man. But even though I think Io Shirai is the greatest female wrestler on the planet, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get to that later. We'll talk about Io Shirai some other time. Even though I think she should be having multiple titles her damn self, but that's neither here nor there. That's boo thing of the week right there. Hold on, but but as with Charlotte, man, like it's one of those things. Like when she wins, you're not surprised. When she wins, you're like, okay, you know what I mean? Like when she wins, you're like, meh. Yeah. It's like, what can you do, man? Because of the pedigree and the ability and how she's carved her own way and made her own way and made herself like, you know what I mean? She's carved her own path as a women's champion, and you don't think of her as Ric Flair's daughter. You just don't anymore, man. She's just Charlotte Flair, and she's just beating the brakes off anybody that comes in her way.
My prediction
isn't that sorry, Judge. Isn't that unfortunate though that you have a match and then that's your feeling after you win every time? Like it should be more than that, I think.
It's a fair point.
Well, my prediction is we're going to see Io Shirai win that NXT ladder match to face Charlotte, and we're going to see a match that it was even better than Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley. I think Charlotte versus Io Shirai is going to be just phenomenal. I want to thank Jack for, because I know he's a big Charlotte fan. What was your overall thoughts? I know we kind of go back and forth. I was like, and I've said it before. I think Charlotte winning can do no harm in this match because of what she can do and what she can bring to already the best women's division of all of pro wrestling in NXT. What do you think this does for Charlotte and the NXT division?
This was right in every single way possible. First off, losing to Charlotte Flair is never a bad thing. It doesn't hurt Rhea Ripley in any way, shape, or form. Secondly, you have just made the NXT women's championship one of the most prestigious championships you can have in the WWE, because one of the most prestigious people in the WWE is holding it right now. And not only that, as you mentioned, the NXT women's division is frankly the most stacked specific division in all of wrestling. I'm talking it's more stacked than any other tag team division. It's more stacked than any other cruiserweight division. It's more stacked than any other women's division. Any specific division, that is the most stacked of all of them. And now you have one of the best of all time as champion. Can you imagine the amazing matches we're going to get to see on NXT going forward? That just made NXT must-watch TV going forward. Absolutely the correct winner tonight. Perfect.
I know, at 100% agree. I know, Leslie, you said you were a big fan of storylines. So we saw a storyline kind of play out for WrestleMania, and the most modern tale of Beauty and the Beast with Otis and Dolph Ziggler, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. I know we saw the developments on SmackDown. Now we saw it kind of culminate here at WrestleMania. What were your overall thoughts? Did you like these kind of stories, these kind of sappy love stories, but also kind of like it's wrestling, so it's kind of okay?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I feel like with this one, it was definitely very entertaining, all the twists that happened to it. One of my favorite parts that happened on SmackDown, obviously this past Friday, was like when the whole computer thing, and then they were like, do we have your attention? I thought that was a definitely cool twist to it. This whole story, the way it played out, it's interesting the fact that Sonya even came out and joined Dolph Ziggler. I was a little confused by that at first. I know she was part of it, but I was like, is that necessary? But hey, the story was great. I love the end result. Why not? They make a great couple.
Evan, what do you think is in the future? Are we going to see wedding with Otis and Mandy? Are we going to see kids? Like, how long before we see the wedding day?
Let's get it started, man. I like that whole thing, man. Nice guys don't always finish last, man. He did everything the right way. He was honest. He was open. He was genuine. He was transparent. He communicated. You know what I mean? He put his emotions out there. He showed sadness. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, when dust settled and all cleared, he got the sugar, man. That's all that matters at the end of the day. That's all that matters. Yeah,
I think
I loved it. I loved it.
Go ahead.
No, it brought so much fun, and like finally again, the underdog, the person that you don't think is gonna get the girl gets the girl, and I loved it.
Aside from all that, there was an actual match between Otis and Dolph Ziggler. This was Dolph Ziggler's first singles match at a WrestleMania. What were your thoughts on the overall match, Jack?
I thought the match was fun. I thought it was, there was a lot of really, really, really good matches tonight or this weekend. So it's hard to say it was like one of the best. I thought it did everything it was supposed to. It was really exciting. And look, I'll be honest, I usually like the guys that are a little on the wrong side of the law. I like the NWO. I like Brock Lesnar. But when Mandy Rose came out and slapped Sonya and then hit Dolph, I popped up off my couch. I was so excited for it. I felt so happy. I was like, you get him, Otis. I'm so proud of you. It was a great feel-good moment, I think, regardless of whose side you're on. I think it was really fun. And I'm excited to see what happens with the hacker and what happens with Sonya now and what happens with Tucker. And I think it's a fun story. It's great. It's exactly what you look for in entertainment like this.
Yeah.
Flobo, do you think that this match was maybe a little hurt by maybe the lack of the crowd? Because I remember watching SmackDown and the crowd just gets hotter and hotter and hotter for Otis. We heard those Otis chants get louder and louder, similar to what we saw, WrestleMania 7 with Savage and Liz, that moment of them embracing finally. Do you think that maybe the Otis Mandy kiss should have been saved for an audience?
Well, yeah, but we don't know how long it's going to go on, right?
Yeah.
One of the cool things about this storyline in particular is that depending on how you look at it, it's either 4 months old based on SmackDown or 6 years old going back to Instagram posts between Otis and Mandy as a joke. So for long-term storytelling, it's the purest example of long-term storytelling in wrestling right now today. That's why it's so satisfying when he got that kiss. So if we had a crowd, that would be great. But if you have what they have right now at WrestleMania with the follow-up tweets and stuff like that, anyone who's brought on to this whole ideal before feels like they got their reward for sticking with this thing growing organically. So I'm happy with it. I'll pipe in a crowd on my own reviewing of the show. It makes you feel better about it. It doesn't need it.
Yeah, Flobo, I was with you. I was like, it would have been great with the crowd, but we were all yelling and screaming and tweeting, and we all loved it. So.
Because man, you're in quarantine, man. Come on, like someone get action. Yeah, like
I think our whole neighborhood cheered. I was like, oh yeah.
To me, this storyline has definitely been one of the highlights of SmackDown. But we also saw the SmackDown Women's Championship get defended. Emily, what are your overall thoughts about this fatal five-way match? Sasha Banks, Bayley, Tamina, Lacey Evans, and Naomi.
I mean, so again, we have this stacked card here of women that are all extremely talented. I think there were some surprises here. I was really surprised that there was the whole Bayley Sasha thing that has been built up for years now, and they're best friends. And Bayley didn't defend Sasha or help her before she got pinned. And so I feel like there's a storyline developing there, kind of a swerve there. I feel like Lacey Evans did a great job tonight as well. And Naomi, of course, they all did a fabulous job. It was a different result than I thought that was going to happen, but I think overall it was entertaining, and I'm interested to see what they do after WrestleMania to see where they bring this, because I feel like there's unresolved feelings and kind of unresolved storylines here.
What were your thoughts, Flobo?
This was the best written. It was talk about stories. First of all,
Yeah.
Bayley once again proves she is absolutely dominant and the most decorated superstar on that roster. She is tired of not being respected as a talent because she is the role model, and she proved it on the grandest stage of them all. Let's take a step back here. Everyone got some wins, right? Sasha
Everyone did, yeah.
has the feud with Bayley. Naomi tapped out easy to Sasha. She has a brand new run. Tamina gets reintroduced as a beast, and Lacey Evans got screwed out of a title. I can't wait to see what the women's division of SmackDown is doing. This match hit all the numbers, and once again, Bayley's on top.
I know, Leslie, you're a big Bayley fan. What were your
Yes,
thoughts about?
I love Bayley. I really thought, props to the women because they really delivered on this match. I was a little disappointed with how quick the eliminations were, especially with Naomi, because I feel like she has so much to give. So I was disappointed in how fast that was. But I do have to say, Bayley and Sasha bring out the best out of each other when they're going against each other. So I was kind of hoping for that, turn, because Sasha is a really good heel as well. And I wanted Bayley to go a little bit back to, not the whole like hugger thing, but a little bit more on like a face. It's going to be interesting to see how she does that when she makes that transition. But I'm excited to see this moving forward because there's definitely a story. And I know Sasha has that itch. She's going to turn really soon.
Yeah, you can see it. Like you saw it. You saw it brewing tonight, where there's just all this unresolved tension, and you could just see the looks they were exchanging. There's something up, and I'm excited to kind of see what happens.
My favorite matches of them have been in NXT, where they literally bring out so much out of each other. So I'm excited to see them their matches moving forward.
Yeah, and Leslie, I agree that I was disappointed that Naomi got eliminated so quickly, because I feel like of the kind of the ranking of women, if we did that, I'm surprised that Lacey Evans was in the bottom two. So I thought it would have been like Naomi or Sasha up there.
Evan, do you think that this is going to happen soon with Bayley and Sasha Banks? At some point, they're just going to culminate together and just end up, their friendship ending? Or do you think they're going to keep going at it, being a team for the long run?
They've been doing a good job of this, man, and we're keeping us guessing and keeping us looking at different ways, different angles. I'm really not sure. I like them as a team. They're really good together. And then you see what Sasha did. She did something in good faith. You know what I mean? Build up a little more credit. But at the end of the day, man, I'm telling you, man, that gold, baby. It's all about the gold, baby.
All about Bayley. All about Bayley.
It's all about, you know what I mean, to bring that hug life back. Ain't that right, Flobo?
Yes.
Jack Farmer, do you think the right person won, Jack, or do you think it was time for a Lacey Evans or maybe even a Tamina get the belt this time around?
See that,
I thought it was the right person. I'm not a big Bayley fan, but I think Flobo hit the nail on the head. The storytelling was perfect. I loved that women's right kind of dodge into then smacking Sasha Banks and Sasha Banks coming back. I love elimination matches in general. I think every multi-person matches should be elimination.
Agreed.
But this played out absolutely perfect. I can't wait to see, because the Sasha Bayley tension is not going away from this either. So this story continues, and I think it's getting better.
It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. We also saw another championship get defended, the Monday Night Raw Tag Team Championships, with the Street Profits going up against Angel Garza and a debuting Austin Theory straight from NXT. I know we were all intrigued on what's going to go on with Austin Theory, but this was a good match overall. I mean, there's really not much bad to say about this match. I mean, I think the highlight we can all agree of the match was what happened post-match.
Bianca Belair.
Evan, what were you guys' thoughts about the match and the introduction of Bianca Belair, Flobo?
Well, here's the deal. Bianca Belair is EST for a reason. The strongest, the fastest, the smartest, right? Here is somebody that was NXT, was almost in this weird limbo position, right? She was so good, never won the title of the NXT. Where does she go? Again, we have a problem in Raw. We need more bodies. We need more Apple talent. We need to go for that title, the challenge Becky Lynch down the road. The Street Profits have been very, very public. But the fact Montez Ford is married to Bianca, it's been announced on air. I think, I know TK is smiling right now, but I think it's a start of having them together and have them run roughshod in that division, both divisions, women's and tag. So I'm here for it. Why not?
No, Evan, I mean, I know that's no secret that they're married, but do you have them affiliated with each other, or do you have Bianca do her own thing and Street Profits do their own thing?
if they do it the right way, man, I don't want her to get caught up in just that though, because I think it's a good time for her to get her chance and restore a little bit of order in the women's division and beef that up a little bit. I don't mind her still, being an enforcer while she has these matches, you know what I mean, with her husband and Angelo. But man, I don't want her to get lost in the shuffle. I want her to be in that singles competition, that singles title picture, like immediately. I think we all think it's about that time. I think enough is enough. We have to put her in another title picture pretty soon, I think.
That sounds like you agree, Emily.
Yeah, Evan, I do agree, because this moment tonight was really wonderful. I feel like everyone was so excited to see her come out and play, and just be that huge personality that we all love. But again, I love your point that I don't want her to get lost. So if she does get called up and goes, and it needs to be a perfect kind of introduction, and it needs to, because we don't want her to get lost. Her talent is so incredible. I don't want her to get lost in the shuffle, and because she needs to shine.
So do you think, Jack, that we're going to see maybe Bianca be on her own, or do you think we're on the horizon of a 6-man intergender match with Street Profits and Bianca against, Team Zelina Vega?
I hope she's on her own. I really hope she's on her own. I think the Street Profits cast a big shadow. They're very, very entertaining and charismatic. And I'm not saying that Bianca Belair isn't, but it's hard to stand out when you're next to people who are that big of characters and that big of personalities. And I agree. I think I would love to see her be a champion on her own without just being a part of a team. I wanted to see Bianca Belair be Bianca Belair, not 1/3 of the Street Profits.
Yeah.
So, Leslie, if you were in charge of the WWE, what would you have Bianca Belair?
Surprise!
He's so much power.
What would you have aside from hiring yourself? Obviously, what would you have Bianca Belair do? Just kind of in the next couple of weeks with her introduction onto looks like the Raw brand.
I think it's definitely an easy introduction is obviously for her to wrestle Zelina Vega. But actually, now that hearing everyone talk, it gave me an idea of, since Becky, I feel like is gonna go on with this, gimmick of I beat everyone, kind of who's next. It would be great for her to come in and introduce herself, and then have that rivalry, because she's so good. George, you and I have talked about Bianca for so long now. I feel like she deserves it. It was a time coming, and let her shine on her own. She's a star by herself.
Exactly.
Can you just imagine the impact of, let's say, Bianca wins Money in the Bank and cashes it in on Becky Lynch the same night and becomes
perfect. There you go. Yeah, that's an even better idea. There you go.
There you go. Book it.
I can see it. Done.
I wrote it down.
Okay, since you're in charge now, apparently, of the WWE,
I'm in charge.
you can make it happen, right?
Leslie, I'll have to call you later.
Okay, no worries. Send me your ideas. Evan, I'm your boss now.
Okay. Oh.
Another match that we
Who just another match. Are we gonna promote it?
Just cut the check, man.
How long is this show? People get promoted or sit down. Like what?
Just cut the check. I don't care.
Another match that we saw on WrestleMania 36 was Aleister Black against Bobby Lashley, who had Lana on her side. I mean, this match didn't really have much of a build-up, but that doesn't mean that this match didn't have the possibility to be good. It was still pretty good. I mean, Jack, do you think that this match delivered that you thought it would be?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was two guys who come out on the winning end of things every Monday night going at it. I thought Lana really missed an opportunity to be more of a part of this match. She's always yelling when fans are in the audience. I thought she could have really stood out and been the obnoxious valet today.
She costed the match, though. She cost the match for the
right at the end. Yeah. At the end, but I mean, like throughout the match, I think she could have been a little bit more of a piece. At the end, I think that's cool, though. I think we're going to see a little thunder in paradise for old Lashley and Lana, and maybe see things get a little rough. Lashley,
Hogan's coming back on a boat.
Maybe. I think Lashley's going to learn very quick why Rusev was okay with Lana walking away after
today. Smart, yeah.
I mean, it needs to, when you use Lana, it has to be deliberate. And I feel like she, like you said, Jack, I feel like if there was an audience, I feel like she would have really kind of been more integral to it, and kind of causing more trouble, and like it would have just been a different vibe. but she still cost the match. So she still was involved.
Evan, Mack, how do you think they've been booking Aleister Black so far? I know he made his WrestleMania debut last year in a tag team. Now he faced Bobby Lashley with no build up, but do you think they're doing right by Aleister Black right now?
Yeah, it's interesting, man. He hasn't met any real resistance. I guess this would be the most resistance he's met tonight. I like that he's on a hot streak. I like that they're building him up as the entity that he is. Like I said, he's a very deep dude, very forward-thinking dude. Tries to come up with different ways to evolve. I wish it wasn't on the back of Bobby, but I like Aleister Black's rise. I don't think he should lose for a while, man.
What do you think is going to happen, Leslie, with this? It looks like there is some tension between Bobby Lashley and Lana. Do you think that this is going to be the beginning of the end, or do you think this is just going to be another just hiccup in the road, but they're going to end up being still together, still married?
No, I think the way that match ended and the way Lana was staring at him, it was definitely a sign like, oh, another feud is about to start, but this time it's going to be in between them. And I feel like this is a way for them to split Lana and Bobby to eventually for her to go back to Rusev.
You think she's going to go back to Rusev?
No.
Yes, she's gonna find a way, and then they're gonna get back together.
She can apologize. She can be like,
prediction.
"Baby, I was wrong. Baby, I was wrong."
Yeah,
So much
it's
has
gonna
happened,
be.
though.
I see it.
I
Rusev
want
is a
to
nice
see.
guy.
I want to see
He's a
Rusev
nice
and
guy.
Lashley become a tag team over this girl.
That would be hilarious.
Oh, that's an even better idea. But
That's
no, I see them
amazing.
getting back together.
Flobo, do you see Rusev going back with Lana?
No, absolutely not. Man, this match right here is one of the more frustrating ones because I just praised storytelling and character beats and moving things along. This looked like an algorithm. It's like, oh wait, we booked ourselves in the corner with Lashley. Let's give him some trouble in paradise. Oh, you know what? Aleister Black is around. He put in some work this year. Let's give him a WrestleMania match at this guy's expense, right? So no build. It came together. Bobby Lashley ate that black mask like a jobber, to be honest with you. And with his new ring attire and his new walk to the ring, he's even less compelling than before. So I was a bit confused with this. I'm hoping Aleister gets to go on to Seth. I hope that Bobby Lashley goes in his own direction and Lana finds a third person and moves on to someone else because that will totally undermine the last 8 months of storytelling. If she's like, I'm sorry, baby, let's go back.
That's relationships.
Yeah. That's real life. I want fake life.
She needs to delete Rusev's number out of her phone, and she can't go back.
Definitely going to see what ends up happening. But we saw one last pre-show. It was the first pre-show match or first match of WrestleMania 36 on the pre-show with Liv Morgan, who I thought a phenomenal showing against Natalya. What a great match to kind of get things going. What do you think, Jack?
I thought this was a good way to have Liv Morgan get a good win over a good opponent that was away from all the Lana stuff, away from all the Riot Squad stuff. And I think that this is more of who she was supposed to be when they were repackaging her to come back in the first place. And I thought this was a good look for her. Natalya always does good. She always shines in these spots, but I think she helped legitimize Liv a lot tonight. I think this was a good match for her.
Leslie, I know you're a big fan of Total Divas, and while she wasn't an official cast member, Liv Morgan was on this season a lot. Are you happy to kind of see her finally get her shine and get her moment as far as just not being that girl, but actually being the girl to actually show what she can do?
Yeah, for sure, because she has the personality. She can obviously wrestle, and she was a superstar in Total Divas. So I think she has everything that she needs to be a star. And this match really proved that she can be one of the most dominant women's wrestler in this division. So I think it's a good push, and it's a good start for her to be showcased because she has everything. She really does.
Evan, how far do you think Liv Morgan is from being at that title caliber, maybe even challenging for the Raw Women's title sometime soon?
She might have a little way to go, but when you have an impressive showing against Natalya, it definitely puts builds up a lot of cred. Natalya is one of those people that can wrestle with anyone. She grew up training with men in the Heart Dungeon, for goodness sakes. You know what I mean? So you get a dub on that, put that on your resume, start building some stock, having some good quality matches with some of the roster, man. It may be, man. You know what I mean? What a difference a year makes in this industry.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Emily.
Yeah, I mean, Liv Morgan's been working really hard. We've seen her grow a lot, and so this was I'm so glad she had her chance tonight, and I'm excited. And against Natalya, a legend. So it's it was great. It was great to just see her have her moment. And but I agree, Evan, that she does need a little bit more time to really kind of get the proper push so she has a title.
Flobito, do you think there was a missed opportunity and not having a Riot Squad triple threat match at a WrestleMania?
That was one of my biggest gripes about the Elimination Chamber, having all three members of the Riot Squad, and there really wasn't any progression there. I gotta say, what's going on and the way that these shows are shot, I think that storyline is pretty much by the wayside. I won't say dead. I think it's pretty much by the wayside. But yes, to answer your question, there's a really good reason why they broke up behind the stage, but storyline wise, why they broke up, why did they change, why is Ruby Riott still the most looking Riott woman of the three of them? I do think there's a lot of story there, so you want to have that played, because I think what Raw needs, besides more people, is a second storyline in that division. And Lana does not qualify. I'm sorry. There should be other women out there that work their way up. That's why we're not sitting there going, Bianca, she's not ready. Liv, she's not ready. Natalya, I don't know. There should be something going on. Like, well, she won that one. How about put her up there? You know.
This was so much fun, you guys. I can't believe you did. We talked about so much, but I want to hear each one of you guys, your final thoughts, overall opinions on WrestleMania 36. Flobo Boyce.
I gotta say this, I wore the World Heavyweight Championship on my chest because I tell you what, this was the most unique WrestleMania of all time, but I'm still loving it because wrestling and me are intertwined like this. I have unconditional love. It may hurt my heart. It may make me cry or make me go, oh, dang, but I'm here every single week.
Leslie Colon.
Definitely unforgettable, unique for sure, but I gotta appreciate all the wrestlers and everyone who works at WWE for putting a great show together. So thank you so much. I loved it.
Evan Mack.
John Cena's the GOAT, man. I'm done.
Yeah.
Emily May.
Yeah, I absolutely loved this whole weekend of wrestling. It just solidified just a whole year of fantastic collaboration and athleticism and hard work from dozens of people, not just in the ring, but outside the ring, behind the scenes. It was an incredible weekend, and I'm just so thankful that we could all be together to talk about it. And I think it's one for the memory books.
DJ Jack Farmer.
It wasn't a good show because of the situation. It was just a good show. There were so many WrestleMania moments this weekend. I think we all had our doubts, but this is why I say never, ever, ever bet against Vince McMahon. Yep. This was a great show. Great show. Ever. For anything. Never bet against him. This was great. And I'm glad they did it. And I think, a lot of people had doubts. I'm glad they did it. I think it was a great show.
Yeah, it was what we needed. We all needed this weekend. We needed to all be together. We needed to talk about this. And it warmed my heart that we could all do this.
It's very difficult to disagree with any one of you. Jack Farmer, put yourself over. Promote yourself. Where can people find you? Twitter, Instagram.
I can't. Are you telling me I can't hear?
Real Jack Farmer, Twitter, right?
Oh, okay. My earphones are going.
Can you guys hear me? Okay,
yeah.
Go. Hey, you can find me at jackcfarmer.com as well as at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. You can also check me out on the Raw After Show every Monday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The AEW Dynamite After Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, of course, the AEW social media skim as well.
Emily May.
Awesome. You can find me on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram at Emily May Heller. You can check out Women's Wrestling Weekly on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. You can check out Total Bellas on Friday evenings with Leslie, and so much more content. Check it out.
Flobo Boyce.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Flobo Boyce, on Instagram at Flobito, and of course, Flobito.com. Oh, support the homie and buy a t-shirt at Flobito.threadless.com.
Leslie Colon.
You can find me on all social media at Leslie Colon _. I am doing Total Bellas right now, and tomorrow we are starting the Big Show with Emily, so make sure you tune in at 4 p.m.
And once again, thank you so much, Evan Mack. I know where people can find you, but I want you to tell yourself where people can find you.
Well, at Coco Theater, Twitter and Instagram, man. Guys, you guys are amazing, man. Good to see you guys, man.
Cool. Thank you so much for everybody. Thank you, everybody that's chatting in. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Trust me, we read every single one of your comments, every single one. Thank you to everybody who's participating. This was fun. I hope to do this again tomorrow. No? No?
Yeah.
No? All right, whatever. But yes, thank you everybody. Thank you for watching. We are still in there. We're all wrestling fans. We all love wrestling. We all love this stuff. We just love talking about this stuff. We will see you guys later. Thank you once again for joining us.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.